right. So I'd love to welcome everyone to the Legally Blissed Conversations podcast. And I would love to welcome Hayley Leviashvili. Yay.
Woo!
We practiced that name several times ahead of time. So
it's a tough name.
It's a little tough. It's beautiful though. And I'm going to ask you about
Thank you. All right.
So when Hayley entered law school at Fordham Law, she knew that she did not want to go into BigLaw yet. She found that there were minimal resources to help her find a job placement in any legal field of interest she had. So initially interested in entertainment law, she spent her summer after one out at Warner Brothers, returning to LA where she spent her undergraduate studies as a presidential scholar at USC. She then went on to work at Christie's auction house during her 2L fall semester, ultimately deciding she wanted to explore more facets of the legal industry to truly understand the industry she wanted to be in. She came across the idea to offer her services to multiple lawyers for a monthly retainer fee and never looked back. So now Hayley dedicates herself to helping law students and lawyers connect to complete project-based work, just as she did beginning her 2L spring semester. So welcome, Hayley. I am so happy you're here. I'm so happy that we finally were able to schedule this with some hurdles over COVID and travel and mental health and you just name it, it just happened, but we're finally here. So happy to get to hang out with you.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been so excited to come to this podcast in particular. And, through everything that we went through, it makes it that much more special to be here right now and to be chatting with you. So thank you again for having me.
Yeah, it's fun. So I have to ask you, what is your last name? Tell me, where does this originate? Leviashvili.
So it's from Georgia. This is the former Soviet Union. That's where my dad's from. My mom's
Not in
from
America.
Not in America. No, a lot of
people, Georgia.
They think Georgia. Oh, that doesn't make sense. But yeah, so Ashvili in Georgian means child of. So it's child of Levy. And so that's where if you ever meet someone from Georgia, they're likely going to have an Ashvili at the end of their last name. So that's where it comes from. My dad came here when he was in high school. So around that time, but he went from Georgia to Belgium to Israel and then finally made it to the US. So he's a well-traveled man and he's very well spoken. He knows 4 or 5 different languages. Yeah, I don't, unfortunately, but yes, that's where it comes from.
Okay, he sounds like a really interesting person. Is he someone that has inspired you?
Oh, absolutely. Both of my parents really have. My mom's a very strong woman, so she's helped instill very strong features in me. And my dad, he actually has worked in corporate his whole life. So he was at American Express, then at Goldman Sachs, and now he's at Fitzgerald. And he is the hardest working human being I know. And that instilled a work ethic in me. But I saw that working in a corporate environment, there wasn't as much room for autonomy and growth, or he actually grew a lot, but just personal growth. I saw what corporate can do to you. And there were so many vacations where he was on the phone and he worked such long hours just to provide for us. And I appreciate it so much, but I was just oh my gosh, I can work 80 hours a week or 90 hours a week, but I want to do it for myself. And I don't want to have to answer to someone and constantly have to be at their will. So that really inspired me. And it's funny because he went on such a very traditional corporate path, but he's in coding, so it's not law or anything. Yeah. But he and my mom were both go to corporate law, do big law, they were so adamant about it. And when I went on this extremely untraditional legal path, they both were what are you doing? You're turning down a firm offer to go on. What are you talking? They just thought I was nuts. And that really motivated me to be I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to do it. Exactly. And that's exactly what happened. And it's been close to 2 years now. And they're finally wow, okay, she proved us wrong. So it's
good. That's amazing. I love that you had that little bit of motivation to prove them wrong. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that at all, to kind of have the fire to get you moving on it. So, okay. So why did you decide to go to law school?
So I love learning. I love learning about processes and just the way that our systems work. And it's just kind of the foundation of our country. And I wanted to understand how we got to where we are, and as a country, as an individual, like women's rights, everything. And so when I was an undergrad, I took a lot of pre-law classes, and I was like, I want to go to law school. And then I had this whole vision of being in entertainment, because at USC, being in LA, I was surrounded by entertainment. Sure. So I wanted to be an entertainment lawyer that specifically worked on like human rights documentaries. Like I just had this whole pipe dream, because, you know, being young and naive, you really think like you can make up anything you want and just go for it. And you can, but I think when I went to law school, Fordham is an incredible law school in New York City, but they really try and send as many people to corporate law as possible, which I think a lot of schools do. You know, it's a higher rankings, higher salary, everything. And when I went to my career center, I told them about this dream, and I think they were like, okay, but there's a specific path when you go to law school, you know, like you do the summer the judicial clerkship, then you go to the big firm after your 2L year. So they had that process, they had a formula that really worked, and they were like, do that, work at BigLaw for 5 years, and then you're going to be able to do whatever you want. Which is valid. It's very true.
If you had other ideas.
Yeah, I didn't want to wait I didn't want to wait 5 years to do what I wanted to do. So as a first year, I went to law school, and as a first year, I was just like, okay, I guess I'll figure this out on my own. And then I started emailing any entertainment attorney that was willing to speak to me and just give me advice on how they got to where they are.
I love it.
So yeah, so it was a lot of hustling and a lot of like, lawyers' time is there, it's really valuable. And so the fact that people actually respond and were like, yeah, of course, like let's hop on a call for 15 minutes. That's like cool. Looking back now, I'm like, wow, that was really nice of them. There was one attorney that I connected with, and she was at Warner Brothers, and she's like, hey, like I really like talking to you, do you want to come in for an interview? We can see what happens. And so then one thing led to another, and I was able to land that internship after my first year. No, it was amazing. It was such an incredible experience. And then I was still, you know, you figure out your second year position during your first summer, I feel like. So I was just emailing a lot of entertainment firms because I was loving it. I really thought it was a really cool space. So I was like, okay, I'll go to a law firm after my second summer just to see what it's like to be at an entertainment firm. And then I landed that position over my first year summer. So I had my second summer set. And then when I went to Christie's, I was like, okay, there are so many different facets of the law. Like I did love entertainment, but it's what if I like something more? And so then I took the networking skills that I gained in my first year and just being okay with sending 1,000 emails and getting like 3 responses.
Okay.
And I just started networking like crazy with any attorney that was willing to speak to me. And then in March 2019 was when someone responded, and they were like, they were a cryptocurrency attorney back then. And I should have bought Bitcoin when it was at $800, but didn't have the money.
Let's not think about that.
Exactly. But he was general, but had a focus on crypto. And he was like, look, I need some projects done. I can't bring someone on full time. Would you want to help me with just like researching? Like he was actually having me build a like statutory guidebook for each state on what their status was with laws pertaining to crypto. And so I was like, absolutely, like this is such a cool experience for me. Like I can earn money while also just learning on a project basis. So I kind of took that concept and ran with it and was just like, let me get more attorneys, let me earn more money, let me start paying off my student loans. And so it really just kind of, it snowballed into what it is today. And I didn't think that I'd end up where I am today. I really thought I was going to go on the firm route, like the entertainment firm route. But while I was at that entertainment firm my second year, I actually was also working with the clients, and I was like, I love the multitasking, the multifaceted. Like one day I'm working on a bankruptcy motion, the next day I'm working on an estate plan, the next hour I'm working on like drafting a contract. So I really loved that, like being able to dip my toes in everything. And then when I had a lot of friends and other interns at the firm being like, this is so cool, like can I get some work? That's when I realized like, okay, I'm not alone in this. And there are also a lot of smaller firms out there who could use the assistance. So I kind of discovered this gap in the legal education system and also the small firm of like the attorney world that I definitely would not have recognized if I didn't go to law school. So
Yes.
that's the summary of how it all went down.
Okay. So how long has GigLAW been around? What year did you officially start?
So I officially started bringing on law students and like expanding the clientele in May of 2020, right when I graduated law school.
Wow.
So it's been exactly 2 years. I don't
Yeah.
know to the date, but I officially like created the LLC in June. But yeah, so 2 years now.
Okay, that's incredible. So let me ask you about, like, do you service, okay, so how does the business model work? Does
Mhm.
the firm pay you? I suppose.
Yep,
Okay, because
exactly.
I mean, law students are, like some of us were kind of poor back then. So
Exactly. Oh, very. I was like, oh my
I
God.
was like,
And like, yeah.
ramen noodles, right? Where it was like the
Yep.
okay.
Cereal for
Yeah.
cereal for dinner multiple nights of the week.
Yeah, my diet in law school did not contribute to my ability to think for sure.
Exactly.
But yes, okay. So the business model basically is that the law firms pay you
Yep.
on kind of like do they retain you, or is it on like a project by project basis?
So we used like when I first started out, it was a monthly subscription, and that was very easy for me to do when I was like the most hands-on. They were directly dealing with me. But now over the last about 8 months ago, I would say I took everything I learned from the first year and built out all these processes and sent it to developers to build out an internal platform for our clients to use and our students to use. So because now there's a platform where law firms can upload the assignments and law students accept it without me having to physically be the middle person. Now we've switched to a project-based model where the law firms can submit whatever they want. We just track the hours, and it's based on like an hourly rate model. But we do have some clients who can be part of the monthly subscription, and then they submit like 8 assignments per month, or if they're on the unlimited plan, they could just submit as many as they want. So there's different options. It's flexible.
So genius. Okay. So is there a practice area that you found that seems to work really, really well with this model?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, it's funny because in the beginning, it was really focused on general business attorneys because that's what a lot of law students are interested in. You do have some that are interested in litigation and whatnot, but so general business law, that's a huge bucket. And then we actually do have a lot of litigators submitting assignments like, hey, I need this research or I need this motion drafted. And so that actually turned into a big bucket. And then we also have a lot of personal injury lawyers and then other types of lawyers who need us to write blog posts for their website. So that's another bucket. But the most surprising bucket of attorneys that this model works so well with is estate planning attorneys. So I was like, I had no idea really what estate planning was. Like my parents had their estate plan in place, and that was my only like visibility into that practice. But it really works well because we handle all the drafting. We're learning as we're going, all the students, and we also have paralegals on board who help with the drafting. And so it's a great model because a lot of estate plans or a lot of estate planning attorneys, like they have their legal assistants, they have their paralegals, but I don't know if it's because of the pandemic, but so many people are just putting together estate plans now. So a lot of these firms are overwhelmed and they're like, we need someone to just bang out the drafting. It takes like 2-3 hours or something like that they don't have. And then they handle all the client communications and of course guiding the client. So that's a big bucket that was unexpected.
Yeah, I think probably in 2020, a lot of people were thinking about
unfortunately
estate planning. Okay. So I bet like this is really cool. I bet one of the reasons you're really loving this is because you're obviously like an avid learner, like you love learning. So you're getting the
100%.
opportunity, to like learn all of these different practice areas, right? You didn't have to select entertainment law, right? And kind of and here's the thing, like a lot of times, being an attorney, like you don't branch out throughout your career. You get even narrower in focus, right, as you go along. So this seems like it's right up your alley.
Exactly. No, I am so the type of person where it's not that like I get bored of it or anything, but I just constantly love learning. And I think it's just so cool to be able to see all these different types of projects. And even when I take on like a research assignment, like I'm learning something brand new I had no idea about. And it's cool because we have clients all across the US. So we have California, New York, but then also Wyoming, Nebraska, Texas, like Hawaii. The Hawaiian clients like my favorite because it's just so cool imagining their lives over there. But besides that, it's so interesting, and it's just there's always something new to learn, and I think that's crucial for personal development and growth. And I think just understanding, as I mentioned, like that's why I went to law school. I just wanted to understand how everything works, and now I get to understand so many different elements. And the coolest part is that I really get to connect with so many different types of attorneys, and attorneys generally have, I don't want to say a bad reputation, but there's a stigma around it.
You know how
yeah, exactly. But I've connected with so many amazing ones, and like so many that just care they have so much passion for helping their clients, and like that's really what practicing law in the legal profession should be. So to be able to like witness that and be a part of it, and also see like these future attorneys with such they're so eager and excited, and like it's just there's so much learning, and like even like how managing different personalities, and then like dealing, like giving feedback. There's just been so much learning through it all. So it's been great.
Yeah. So you're like, so you kind of found this niche, right? Like there's probably not, like you said, you found this little gap. So you're sort of creating and molding this as you go along.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're wearing a lot of different hats right now. And I'm sure as your company grows, like you'll start, help finding other people, and you'll keep like certain hats on, like for yourself, like the aspect you love, and they like are in your zone of genius. So what, like currently, what is that to you? Like, what do you love the most about it? Like which
honestly,
like
which hat do
development,
I love the most?
or like actually working in the business?
I truly love the development aspect of it, like growing the business, having the sales calls, just hopping on a call with, I think it's not an easy sale whatsoever, but it's like when you speak to a lawyer who has some interest and you're telling them what we can do for them, they're like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I need. Like, why hasn't this been created before? So it's been
a whole life.
Yeah, exactly. And like, what's really nice is that there have been a lot of attorneys that have come to us where they're like, we had to downsize our firm. We had to let a few attorneys go. And they're like, we're underwater and we just need help. And like, we're able to be there to help them. And so that's really cool. And then I also love like learning things that are missing in our app and our internal platform, and like figuring out, okay, this is something that both the law students, and we actually have like law students who grew into recent graduates, and we also have paralegals. So it's like, this is something that they would love to see in the app, and this is something the firms would love to see in the app. And so just being able to work with developers and like see, essentially like write out the processes like in laywoman's terms, and like seeing their genius being able to implement it into like the platform, that's been so cool. And I think building out the platform has been something that I'm so proud of, because I never thought, obviously I can't code myself, but like just seeing it all come to life when it used to live in my head, that's been something really incredible. So as much as I went to law school, took out a lot of loans, and loved everything that I learned, the business side of things, it's like, it's so exciting to me, and I love that. And so that's why the platform's been amazing, because I've been able to take off the hat of like playing that middle person, and then also taking up the hat of actually having to do some of the assignments myself, because now it's just so much more efficient. It just runs efficient. Like I love efficiency. It's something that, my fiance is just like, he'll get mad at me if I'm rushing in or switching in and out of lanes. And I'm like, I'm driving efficiently. He's like, no, you're not. But that's, I just love it. I think that's been probably the most exciting part.
Yeah. And just trying to like always strive for those efficiencies everywhere you can.
Exactly.
So what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, it makes everyone's lives easier, like the law students, the law firms, and myself. So we love it.
Well, I mean, really, this is awesome, because you're providing a platform, and of course you're getting a lot of like fulfillment, by doing this, but like for lawyers, you are helping so many attorneys, like just take a weight off their shoulders. A lot of lawyers are, they're so afraid to hire just because, work.
It's scary.
It's
You don't
scary,
know.
right? Like
Yeah.
you get so busy and you're like thinking, oh my gosh, I need help. And then you have that fear of what if the work, kind of dries up or whatever.
Exactly.
When you have employees, it's like, hey, I gotta keep them busy.
Yes, exactly. You're constantly thinking like, I have this person sitting here, I'm paying them full time. And like, what are they like? Sometimes it's no one's fault. It's just like, they're just kind of sitting there, not doing
Yeah.
much. And that was something too, that I noticed, especially when I was at the firm my second summer, where there were like 4 or 5 different interns, and like, sometimes we would just sit there. All the other people would sit there and not be doing anything. And that's why I was like, I'm so grateful to have this other work, because I do get bored easily. Like, I can't just sit there at my computer and like stare at the screen or browse. I just like, it kills me. I want to be productive during the day and everything. And so yeah, it's just a great way. And like for law firms, some months it's super crazy and hectic for them, so they need us so much. Other times it's like they love that flexibility where it's like, okay, if I don't have that much work, I'll only send 1 or 2. So again, that's something that we offer, and I'm so happy to be able to offer. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah, and you're giving a lot of law students sort of that opportunity to kind of dig into several different areas of the law, which has to be just incredibly, I don't know, it's like just a great experience, because a lot of times straight out of law school, you might go to where the job is.
Exactly.
Right? Like you might end up in litigation or you don't really know. It's kind of like, where is the work, right? And that's but this is really kind of offering students a chance to really dig into different areas. So are law students vetted by you all before they could actually participate?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have to, it's a somewhat rigorous of a vetting process. So basically they first have to submit their materials through an application form. So we have to see they have a minimum GPA, relevant work experience. We don't take any 1Ls on just because it's 1L, and you should definitely focus on schoolwork.
Sure.
But and so once they submit the materials, if they meet our standards, then we jump on like an informal phone interview. And the main thing that we're looking for is just like an interest in learning and being eager to be like, hey, like, I think I have an interest in IP, or I think I have an interest in bankruptcy. And like, I don't know, like, I just want to get more experience. Like, I love hearing people who kind of have that mindset of constantly wanting to grow and learn. And so, yeah, and it's just making sure that they have that interest. Like, we've actually had some students being like, oh, just want me to put something on my resume. And like, that's not a good answer. So we're not going to move forward. We really want to see that they understand the purpose of it. And so then once they finish that, we send them a test assignment. And the test assignment isn't actually an assignment that they complete and we submit to a firm. Like, I think that's not right, because it's like, I don't want to make money off of something that we're testing them on.
Yeah, sure.
So what it is we give them like a prompt similar to something that we've had before. So it's like, draft this type of agreement, here's what you need, and then here's a research question that we typically get, and then we tell us your thought process on how you would approach this, and then how you would actually complete it. And like, we just want to see the effort, and we want to see that you really think about it. You don't just send us like 3 or 4 sentences like, oh, find template, input information. We want to see that you're gonna actually take the time, like double check all of the section references, things like that. And I recognize that a lot of those things, you don't, like drafting an agreement, you don't learn that until you actually do it. So if like they don't include specific things like that, that's fine. It's just like, put in the effort. And once we see that, then we bring them onto the platform. And we do have a very strict rule where it's like, if you mess up once, like, and it's not like, it's like really showing that you didn't care. Like, one time we had a client reach out who was a litigator, and he's like, I need case law to support this argument. And the student literally just submitted case names, like no background information, no analysis or anything. And it's a one and done rule. So something like that, it's like, you are off the platform. I have to remove you. You can't accept any more assignments. But that's only happened a few times. So most of the students on board, like all of them actually right now, and all of the students who have graduated and now are licensed attorneys and remained with us, they're all incredible. Like, I take my hat off to all of them, because they're the reason why the platform functions the way it does, because without them, no one would come and use it. Like, it's really, I can trust them, and they're so awesome, so excited, so receptive to feedback too, which is so crucial to me, because it's hard. It's hard getting feedback sometimes, but you need it in order to learn. So that's important to us too.
Oh, the feedback is crucial. I mean, I'm sure at some point you will have a student participant who will actually use your services if you have not already, right? As a lawyer. So that will be, I'm sure, a very rewarding.
That's the dream. It's funny because when I first started in 2020, I brought someone on who was a third year. It was in like September 2020, and he graduated. Then he passed the bar, and then he stayed on with us as a licensed attorney. And now he literally emailed me 2 weeks ago being like, I think I'm going to start my own firm. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, congratulations. That is so awesome. Like, and I was like, if you need help, if you need assistance, just let us know. So it was a cool cycle to see.
Yeah. So, okay, I have to know, like, so you started your business, your LLC, officially June of 2020. I'm curious, like, when did like the initial spark for this start? Like, obviously, like, you had all this experience. Like, I want to know, like, how long it took you from that spark to business. Because I'm thinking it's pretty fast. And so I'm like,
it was interesting because it happened while I was in law school. So like, it was such a time of uncertainty for me. And it was the most stressful, probably darkest time of my life, because like, I was just so unclear of what to do. And like, so the spark started with that first client in March 2019. And then over that summer, that's when I was like, wow, this could really, so summer 2019, I was like, this could be a business. But there was like, I didn't have the confidence that I was like, I could actually do it. So I just, that whole first semester of my third year, I really just didn't know, should I go back to that firm or should I just risk it all and go for it? And then I thought it, like, in January 2020 actually was when, right before the pandemic, was when I like fully committed to the idea. I told my parents, I was just, they were not happy, but I was just so nervous. But I was just like, I got to do it. And like, third year of law school is not as crazy, especially when we were like, my commute was always like a 30-minute, I would walk to school. I would walk through Central Park, which was nice, but it's an hour each day, and it was just a lot. So when I didn't have to do that because of the pandemic, and like us, of course, we weren't socializing, and because no one was in person, it was kind of the perfect runway to launch a virtual service. So I was just like, I'm going to hit the ground running. And so I really hit the ground running in January of 2020.
Okay.
And then I was dealing with finals and everything like that. And so then when I graduated in May, that's when I was like, let's really like roll up our sleeves and go. And it was definitely hard. It was so stressful because like, it was just stressful. It was stressful not knowing if you're going to succeed, and like, it was just that fear in the back of your mind. But, in my gut, I was like, this is the right move. This is where I have to go. And I've read in so many books, like entrepreneurship books or like personal growth books. It's like, trust your gut. Your gut, your intuition knows more than your brain knows. And in my gut, and like also anytime I worked in any sort of corporate or firm environment, I got physically sick for some reason. Like one year I had this horrible rash, this other year I got this horrible like flu. It was just like, I think those are signs that I just need to go out and just try. You never know if you don't try. And also I was lucky because I had student loan debt. That was it. Like, I didn't have any kids. I wasn't married. And like, all I had was my dog to care about. And I was like, I can do it. I can risk it now. And like, if it doesn't work, I can pivot, but I might as well try. That was like the arch.
No, that's fantastic. And it's interesting that you kind of you mentioned that you initially really just didn't think that you had the self-confidence to do it.
Yeah.
But then there was this transition over like 6 or 7 months that you're like,
I can do it.
That's really cool. And I love that you follow your gut. I think that's so important. I think that women are really good at following their intuition. And
100%.
I've said before that my brain has messed up, has sent me in the wrong direction many times, but my gut has not. So
100%. You have that feeling. It's like everyone knows the feeling that you're talking about. It's just a matter of whether or not you're listening. And I do agree, like women, that intuition is there. It's just, you got to go for it. And I tell them, I like, anytime one of my friends comes to me and they're like, I don't know what to do. And I just say, I'm like, you know what to do. It's just like, you know, just ignore the rational part of your brain and just go for it, because you can always adapt. You can always reset. That's like the beauty of it. But it's hard. It's easier said than done.
It is easier said than done, especially when you have external voices, right?
Yeah,
and a lot of voices coming at you saying, oh, you should do this, or you went to, Fordham and now you're going to do this, right? Like, no, you're going to go to BigLaw. Like, that's the other thing. You have all of these external, even your own crazy, voices in your head, but just from society about how you should be or proceed after law school. And I also think like the more you lean into trusting your gut and listening, the more it arises, right? Like
100%.
So, okay. So I have to ask, if you, like, looking back over the last 2 years, what would you tell yourself right out of law school? Like, what have you learned? Like, what's that big thing that you're like, oh, I wish I would have known this?
It's funny. I was actually just talking about this with someone, but I think I would have just told myself, like, do exactly what you think you need to do, which is like put in the hours, work the 70, 80 hours weeks, like do it, like put in the hard work, because the hard work is going to pay off, but just trust yourself. And like, I think a hard thing was the only way in business and personal life you grow and you learn is by having failures and mess ups. And like growing up, I was always a perfectionist, where it's just like anything less than 100 on an exam, or even like a 97, I was okay with that. But if it was like a 95, I'd be upset. It's just like, you have to be okay with failing and messing up and like just having things go wrong, because that's how you learn and that's how you grow and that's how you adapt. And like, I think by having those, it just makes you so much stronger for when the next challenge arises. So I think I would have told myself, like, you're going to face a lot of challenges, but just go at it with like an open mindset and like view it as like something, a growing lesson. And I think that was key, because I was so hard on myself, crying when just things would go wrong. And I'd be like, oh, I just didn't know what to do. And like now when I have a challenge, I'm like, all right, come at me. Like, how are we going to solve this? Yeah. So it's been, so it's a lot of life, I think, is just so mental, and it's just like forge forward, do what you want to do, and like just believe in yourself. And I think that's key too. Like anyone can do, like, we're all human beings, like, even if you're not a brilliant genius like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, you can achieve what you set out to achieve just by like setting goals for yourself and like actually creating actionable steps to get there. And like, that's what I wish. I wish I knew it then, but the only way I'd know it then is if, by going through what I've gone through in the last 2 years. So it's been a lot of growing, a lot of learning.
Do you think that you've learned more in the last 2 years running your own business? 3 years of law school. Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Not even a question. The theoretical classes of law school are really interesting, and like reading the opinions of these Supreme Court judges. Fordham also had the opportunity where like we were able to listen to Supreme Court judges that came in and spoke to us. Like, it's so cool. And it's like, it's almost like watching a cool documentary or something, but actually going through life and like learning by doing. Oh my God, I've learned so much more. I think I've learned so much more in the last 2 years than I have in the prior 25 years of life.
Yeah. Business ownership will do that. So
100%.
You mentioned that you're a perfectionist. Have you noticed, or did you notice when you kind of started this journey, that you were seeking perfection and that it was preventing you from actually like completing things?
1,000,000%. Like everything you're saying is so accurate. By being a perfectionist, you're not going to scale, like you have to be okay with you not doing wearing every single hat, doing every single test. Like, you have to be okay with trusting someone else to do it. And even if they do it 80% as well as you do it, that's still okay, because that's the only way you're going to be able to actually expand and grow the business. And that was a really hard lesson. Like, delegation 101 is like being able to actually delegate. And I wasn't able to do it for the longest time. And it's funny because the whole business is other, like, law students doing the work.
Isn't that funny?
I couldn't, it was like, for the first year, there was a lot of monetary growth from like a few clients who were just sending so much, but I was doing so much of it. And then when I realized, okay, if I need to grow, I'm at my capacity right now. So if I want to grow more, I actually need to put in processes, have people on board to allow me to grow more. And so once I started actually delegating, we were able to grow 2x, and like, I'm hoping to grow even further by delegating more, but that's literally the only way to grow. And like, it's a hard pill to swallow as a perfectionist, but it's a lot easier now that I see it work.
You should do, like, if you're doing any business development or like educational seminars or whatever, prospective client outreach, you should do sort of like a 15-20 minute like talk or something on like overcoming, like how I overcame, my perfectionism, just to or like, and learn to delegate, because that is a big problem. I think that's a big concern that a lot of people have, right? Is
absolutely
kind of like letting that element go and kind of trusting the universe that it's going to work out. So
exactly.
Okay. So I have to know, what is next for you and GigLAW?
So currently I'm looking
started. You
guys that's the goal. That is truly the goal. No, it's been super exciting. And so we're adding more features to the app to make it even more scalable. I'm looking to bring on at least 20 more students to be able to keep up with the capacity. So we have a long wait list. And so we're going through that wait list right now to bring people on board. But if you know anyone, just send them our way. Okay. And then we're actually hoping to expand into Latin America and Spain by translating the app into Spanish and partnering with this awesome law firm who they have offices all over. So that's going to be hopefully a really nice next big expansion for us. And just keep growing, keep learning, and like keep learning what we can do to be better. And so that's the goal. That's like the short-term vision, and just continuing. And like the estate planning, I hope to bring on more students who are interested in estate planning, because I don't think it's as popular as it should be.
It's not super sexy, right? I mean,
but I think it's really cool. I really think it's an awesome field. But we also have some incredible paralegals on board. Like, and when I say incredible, like they have saved me at least like 30 hours a week now just by having them on board, which is so awesome. But just continuing to expand each branch of the business, but being able to do it in like not so quickly where we have to sacrifice the quality. So it's always maintaining that quality. But that's the next goals for GigLAW. We'll see where we go. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for you. I have no doubt that it's going to happen. I have a feeling.
Knock on wood.
You are obviously like those people that you set your mind to it. It's
I appreciate
that.
So
I'm excited.
Let's hope. Yeah. No, it's an exciting time. Thank you so much. No, I appreciate it. Again, like, one of the best parts of it is being able to connect and meet people like you, because it's awesome. It really is.
And you get to talk about your business, right? It's so much fun. Yeah. And I have loved doing podcasts because I've met, it's funny what you said a minute ago about some attorney, there's attorneys that kind of have, certain reputation. Like the women that I've met doing this have all been,
incredible.
Unbelievable. Like, I want to say that word, but I'm not going to there, but just unbelievable, inspiring, intelligent, giving women. And
exactly,
like, I just, every single time that I do a call like this, like, I just am so inspired and optimistic.
Yep.
And I love that there are women like you all that are out there just killing it and can inspire, can inspire young young women that are, even if they're not even like committed to going to law school, right? Just just to show them that you could go to law school and do so many different things. Or
exactly.
you get out of law school and you're like, I don't know if I want to go to BigLaw.
Right.
Like you.
Exactly.
There's, you have a world of opportunities. Don't be afraid.
Exactly.
And follow your gut. So,
yep.
where can people find you? Where can people find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn is the main place to find me. I'm also on Twitter. LinkedIn, it's just my name. So Hayley Leviashvili. And then also you can go to the GigLAW page on LinkedIn. We do have an Instagram page, though I will admit it is not as active as it likely should be. But I do find that the most people we connect with is through LinkedIn or Twitter. Twitter is a great place to find us. So mainly LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. And of course, if you ever want to shoot me an email or schedule time on my Calendly, it's just calendly.com/GigLaw. And I love chatting with anyone and everyone. So
that's awesome. Calendly.com /GigLaw. That's perfect.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much again for having me. This has been such a pleasure.
This was so much fun. Have a great day.
So much fun. Thank you, you too.
Bye, my friend.
Bye. Bye.